is Dr. Sridhar back to you with another video session on DC machines. In today's video session, I am going to elaborate about the working principle of DC machines and what are the various classifications we can make in electrical machines. These are the two broad areas I am going to discuss in today's video session. And again, in addition to that, what is the major difference between the generator and what is exactly the motor is? In these two directions, we are going to conclude this video session. The broadly electrical machines can be classified as generators and motors. Based on the electrical supply provided to that machine or based on the electrical supply we are going to receive from that machine, the machines can be called as a DC machines or AC machines. Whether it is a DC machine or AC machines, broadly electrical machines can be classified as generators is one group and motors is another group. So what is the generator? What is the motor? Generator is nothing but it is a device, it is a transducer which converts one form of energy to another form. So based on our requirements, suppose what is our requirement? Suppose if we require electrical energy, so we can make use of generator. This generator is a device which converts mechanical energy to electrical energy. So this generator is a device is going to offer electrical energy to the appliances. So motor, one more electrical machine is nothing but it may be a motor. What is that motor? Motor is nothing but it is a device which converts electrical energy into the mechanical energy. So the raw form of the energy, either it may be electrical energy or mechanical energy, raw form of energy is nothing but that is the input energy we are going to offer at the input terminal of that electrical machine is nothing but it is called as an input energy. And what is the energy we are going to get it from that electrical machine? That energy is called as an output energy or that is an output quantity. So we can operate DC machine based on the requirement or based on the energy provided to that electrical machine can be operated as a generator and motor. So finally, these generators and motors both are electrical devices only. Now, one device that is if you are taking the generator is a device which converts mechanical energy into the electrical energy. Then motor is nothing but it is a device which converts electrical energy into the mechanical energy. So any single DC machine, only if you are taking any single DC machine based on the requirement, you can operate it as a generator and or motor. So only you have to change the input and output parameters. So in either way, we can operate any electrical machine as a generator and as a motor based on the requirement. So if you are taking a DC machine, just a rough view of the DC machine if you could see. Now this is nothing but a circular one is there. So this is a device here. This device is nothing but it is a rotating in the nature. It is continuously rotates. So the rotating part of this machine is called as a armature. Now in the three-phase machines, this is also called as a rotor. A rotor is nothing but it is a rotating device. So this one, this south pole and this north pole, these are nothing but field poles. So these are nothing but the field coils or field poles or magnetic poles. In another way, this can also be called as a magnetic poles. So these conductors are nothing but these conductors and this one. Generally, a conductor, if it is represented as a dot inside this is called as a conductor carrying the current towards us. So that is the meaning of that. And crossed one, if any conductor, if it is represented as with cross inside the circle, so that is a conductor is carrying a current into or far away from us. So that is nothing but that is a basic representation in how we are going to represent the current in a conductor means based on the dot and cross convention. Dot is nothing but the current is towards us. Cross is nothing but in the opposite direction, means it is leaving the particular point. So only that behind that cross section only we can see. So whenever it is carrying the current means the current if it is indicated with the arrowhead, only you can see the tip point of that arrowhead. So that's why a dot is represented inside the circle. Cross means whenever it is leaving, you can see only the tail portion which is in the shape of a cross. So that's why if a conductor, if a circle is represented with the cross means that conductor, the associated conductor or the respective conductor is carrying the current which is leaving in the nature. So because of that, some of the conductors are represented with the dots, some of the conductors are represented with the crosses. So not only there, in the armature also you can see some of the conductors are represented with the dots, some of them are represented with the cross. Okay. Now this rotating part, this armature or this rotor or rotating part is connected to a shaft. Now the shaft is nothing but, if it is a generator, this whole machine is a generator, then shaft is nothing but it is going to access or through which we are going to send the input energy to the machine. That is nothing but the shaft. Or it also provides some mechanical balance to the whole machine. And this not only in that particular direction, it helps in different ways, and this makes the physical balance, this makes the mechanical balance, and that is a terminal through which we are going to collect the mechanical energy if it is a motor, or that is a terminal through which we are going to send the input energy if it is a generator. Like this, the shaft can be utilized in different ways. So in this one, if it is a generator, means through which we are going to give the mechanical energy to the electrical machine. So the mechanical input is nothing but, so mechanical input, how can we supply that mechanical input or mechanical energy to that electrical machine, means by using some steam turbines, or by using some windmills, or by using some turbine kind of things or prime movers, we can transmit the mechanical energy as an input to the electrical machine. So that's what in this one also we have represented through a belt type arrangement. So nothing but the belt type arrangement is nothing but, in this particular direction we are going to rotate the shaft. Once the shaft takes rotations at a certain speed, means that is a level of speed, and at that particular speed we are transmitting the mechanical energy from the prime mover to the input terminals of that electrical machine by means of a mechanical shaft. That is the meaning of this. And this angular movement also clearly we have represented with omega. Omega is nothing but the angular velocity of the shaft. Now the shaft is solidly mechanically coupled to the prime mover. So once the prime mover is rotated at x speed, with the same speed the shaft also rotates. Like this, the mechanical energy is transmitted from the prime mover to the input and shaft power, which is nothing but the input power to the electrical machine. So like this, we are transmitting the mechanical power, mechanical energy to the electrical machine. So once the shaft is rotating, means the rotating force is exactly termed as a torque. So which torque? That is rotating because of the mechanical power which is transmitting from the prime mover to the input terminals of the electrical machine. So that is nothing but the mechanical torque is represented with capital T suffix small m. So that is a input force or input twisting force. So whenever the force is a twisting in the nature or in the angular direction, so that is called as a torque. So once the force is there, means now twisting force, means the twisting force is none other than torque. So at the torque, we are going to rotate the shaft of that electrical machine with omega speed. So like this, we are transmitting the mechanical power to the electrical machine. So once that electrical power is once that mechanical power is transmitted to the armature, then at the same speed armature also rotates. Once that armature is rotating, in which domain it is exactly rotating, means in which area, or that what is the environment, or that air gap is filled with whom. That air gap is nothing but so this armature is rotating in the magnetic field. So whatever the direction of this magnetic field, so magnetic field, the direction is from north to south or south to north. No, so this is nothing but the magnetic field. So in this magnetic field, so this armature is rotating. So this armature is nothing but it is carrying various armature conductors. So as we know that from the fundamentals of Faraday's electromagnetic induction, whenever a rotating or whenever armature conductor or whenever a conducting portion is placed inside a magnetic field, and if there exists a relative motion between them, we can see some voltage it will be induced in the armature conductor or conducting material. So that's what we are going to make use of that particular principle. So inside that magnetic field, so that magnetic field we can develop by keeping North Pole and South Pole at some adjacent distance. Now inside that North and South Pole, we can see some magnetic field. In the magnetic field, we are placing various conductors. Once the conductor is rotated, now how these conductors are rotating? Conductors are rotated by means of the shaft. Now shaft is again internally connected with the armature, or which is a rotating part, on which armature conductors, those are nothing but the conducting portions or conducting wires are placed. Once the shaft rotates, armature also rotates. If the armature rotates and total armature conductors are also rotates in a particular direction, whenever that conductor starts rotating, now that conductor is rotating in the magnetic field. Once it happens, means indirectly there was a relative velocity between the stationary magnetic field and the rotating conducting system. Once it happens, now across that armature conductors or across that conductors placed on the armature, we can see some EMF, it will be induced. Now this was the statement given by the Faraday. So that those are the principle is nothing but the Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction. So that's why, so this generator is nothing but finally what happens, we are transmitting some mechanical input power through the shaft to the electrical machine. So across the armature conductors, now you can see some electrical voltage. How this generator works, and this generator is nothing but it is a device, it is going to convert the mechanical energy to the electrical energy. So this is a brief about generator. And similarly, if you are taking the motor, now in this one, in this particular configuration also, machine orientation, machine construction parts, everything is same. Everything is same. And between north and south, now there is a magnetic field. Now this conductor, if you are placing here and if you are allowing some current, now because here what is this in this motor, whatever the input power, that input power is nothing but electrical energy. So that electrical energy is directly given to the conductors. If that electrical energy is given to the conductors, means all the conductors placed on the armature or rotor carry some amount of current. As we know that every current carrying conductor produces its own magnetic fields. So there is a armature flux and one more flux is because of the main magnetic fields. That is nothing but the north pole and the south pole. So in this area, in this geometrical area, we can see two different types of fluxes. One flux is because of the armature conductors and one flux is nothing but the main flux. So if you are taking a conductor like this, so what is the direction of the magnetic field generated by this conductor? So whenever the conductor is represented with a dot, whenever a conductor is represented with a dot inside a circle, means it is carrying a current towards us. So you please arrange your right hand thumb in the direction of the current. Then our fingers represents the magnetic field direction produced by the current carrying in that particular conductor. So this is nothing but the Ampere's right hand rule, Ampere's right hand thumb rule. So with the help of this particular Ampere's right hand thumb rule, we are going to identify the direction of the magnetic fields. So if you are taking this conductor, now let us assume I'm going to talk about this conductor here. So this conductor, it has its own magnetic field. So this is the direction of the magnetic field produced by the conductor, and one main magnetic field is nothing but it is producing like this. So here at this particular point, if you could observe, so armature flux is traveling like this, main field flux is traveling like this. Definitely there will be interaction between this magnetic field, and because of this magnetic flux lines are nothing but the elastic in the nature. So because of this repulsive nature of these two magnetic fluxes, so there will be a force, it will be exerted on the conductor in the centrifugal manner. So because of these centrifugal forces, what happens? This conductor, this particular conductor, or this may be pulled in this particular direction. And similarly, here this conductor also, same thing it happens. This may be exert some force here, and this may also exert some force here. This may also exert some force here. So finally, if you are taking these circumferential forces experienced by all the conductor because of the interaction of two magnetic fields, that is nothing but one is the main magnetic field produced by the north and south pole, and one more magnetic field that is because of the armature conductors. There was a repulsive forces. Because of that repulsive forces, every armature conductor placed on the armature core will experience a repulsive force. That forces acts in the same direction. That is very, very important. All the forces are acting in the same direction. So finally what happens? This armature or this rotating part, initially that is a rotating in the nature. Because of these forces experienced by all the conductors, now this rotor may starts rotating in particular direction. So that's what it is happening. Once the rotor starts rotating, or that armature starts rotating, means with the same speed the shaft also rotates. Once the shaft rotates, means now from the terminals of the shaft we can get the mechanical output power. So like this motor works here. So motor is nothing but it is a device which converts electrical power to the mechanical power. So like this, same machine, same electrical machine, I am not going to change any parameter here. So geometrically same, and the components same, everything is same, the parts also same, only we are changing the quantity. So electrical energy and the mechanical energy if you are replacing each other. Now at the input terminals, if you are applying the electrical energy, so it will works as a motor, so that mechanical energy you can get it from the output terminals. That is nothing but the shaft. Means based on the principle of operation, the shaft itself, it acts as a input terminals and output terminals. That's what the generator and the motor. So the same electrical machine you can operate as a generator as well as a motor based on our requirement. So if you are taking a typical 4-pole DC generator, here if you could see here, so there are 4 magnetic poles are there. This is the south pole is the one thing, and this is the north pole is second, and this is nothing but again south 3, and this is the north again 4. So that's why there are 4 magnetic poles are there. So that's why this is called as a 4-pole DC generator. So in this one, this field coils are also clearly mentioned here. Now, what is the need of these field coils? Is these magnetic poles are not sufficient? Of course sufficient, but in order to keep or in order to make highly strengthened magnetic field, now generally we are going to replace the physical poles with the electromagnets. So what is that electromagnets? Electromagnets means on the same magnet on the outer surface, we are going to wound different field coils. Now that field coils, through that field coils, whenever you are allowing some current through it, then every current carrying conductor, as we know that every current carrying conductor produces its own magnetic field, and the direction of this magnetic field produced by the field coils and the direction of the magnetic field produced by the physical poles are arranged such that these magnetic fields are in the same direction. Like this, we are going to strengthen the magnetic field without increasing the size of that electrical machine. So the direction of the magnetic field and the direction of the field coils, we had to arrange in the same direction. That is very, very important. That should not. Now, if both the magnetic fields are in the same direction, in the same area, we can see a highly strengthened magnetic field. So that is a major reason why the field coils are placed in the electrical machines. So the field coils on the outer surface of all the magnetic poles, you can see different field coils. That field coils are also clearly marked here. Now in this field coils also, some of the conductors are represented with the cross and some of them are represented with the dots. As usually this happens here. The polarity of the electromagnetic field will depend upon the direction of the field current. Now if the field current direction changes, as just now we have discussed, automatically the direction of the magnetic field also change. So here the sincerely we have to remember that the field coils produced magnetic field and the magnetic field produced by the physical poles must and should be in the same direction in order to see highly strengthened magnetic field. If the field coil magnetic field is, if it is not in the direction of the field physical poles, now you have to change the current direction, so that automatically it will be rearranged. And so finally we can see that the magnetic field is nothing but both are additive in the nature, both will help each other, both aids each other. So we can see a huge amount of magnetic field inside the area. That is a very, very important point. And the armature carries the conductors inside the slot. Now we can see that now there are some slots here. Now this is also a slot, this is also a slot, and this is also slot. Means the armature itself, we are going to make slots type of outer surface. We are going to make the different slots to arrange to keep the armature conductors. So how many conductors we are going to keep in the armature slots means based on the winding diagram. So that is beyond our limit, but for our simplification, let us keep one conductor in one armature slot. So that otherwise what happens if it is on the smooth surface, if you are going to keep the armature conductors, there may be a slipping between every pair. So this may lead to a short circuiting. So that's why, because that armature has to rotate in the nature. So if it is on the rotating surface, if you are keeping different conductors which are physically stagnant are fixed to the armature core, there may be a chance of slipping. So that's why the outer surface of this armature core is made into different wedge shaped one. So those are nothing but the slots. Those are going to accommodate different armature conductors, and because like this we can overcome the centrifugal forces that the conductors may experience whenever it starts rotating in a particular direction. And one more thing is, now that load, suppose if it is a generator, the generator is nothing but from the generator we are going to get electrical energy. Now if the armature is a rotating part, now if the electrical load is also connected to the armature, now with the same speed of the armature, so electrical load has to revolve, but it is not a correct thing. So in order to coordinate between them, so rotating part and the stationary loads. So rotating part is nothing but through which we are going to get the electrical energy, but the loads are nothing but stationary nature. So in order to make the coordination between rotating armature and the stationary load, we are going to keep some brushes. So the brushes are going to collect the electrical energy from the rotating body, and it will communicate or convey the electrical energy which was collected from the rotating body to the stationary loads. That's the duty of this brush. So the brushes are nothing but these are going to place very close to the armature conductors. From that armature conductors or from the armature, the brushes are going to collect the electrical energy, and this will furtherly it will be communicated to the electrical loads which are stationary in the nature. So when the armature is rotated in the magnetic field, and the direction of that induced EMF, it can be identified with the help of Fleming's right hand rule. So coming to the principle of operation, see, so this magnetic field is nothing but it is clearly represented here, that A is nothing but it is a one conductor, B is another conductor. So this is stationary loads, and this P and Q's are nothing but those are the brushes. And at the beginning, let us assume that is a portion of AB conductors. So this A is nothing but this is the one side of the coil, one side of the turn, and B is nothing but the one more coil. Now it is there on the another side of this turn or another side of this particular coil. And this A and B's are nothing but those are nothing but the split rings. Now this will gather the electrical energy generated in the side A and side B. So side A is solidly connected to the green portion here. This is the one portion of this ring here. B is nothing but again it is going to collect the electrical energy from the B side, and on these two sides there are two brushes which are nothing but the P and Q. Now at this point, once the coil or when the torn or when the armature is like this, now we can see some induced EMF. Now this induced EMF is nothing but what is the formula for EMF here? That's induced EMF is nothing but rate of change of cutting. So this is nothing but the N d phi by dt. So number of rate of change of flux cuttings or number of flux linkages. So actually this value is nothing but d by dt of flux linkages. N pi is nothing but the flux linkages. So E is nothing but the N into d phi by dt. So this is the induced EMF here. So flux linkages means this will vary based on the orientation. Now suppose if the total A and B are in the horizontal direction, this may produce some amount of EMF. That EMF may not be same once these A and B are placed in the vertical direction. So that's what the intention here it is. So once at arbitrarily if you are keeping A and B, that induced EMF is clearly represented here. This value is nothing but this axis is nothing but the EMF E. So a small amount of EMF you can see here. This is because of the physical position of A and B inside the magnetic field. Now once if it is revolved by some portion, then again you can see some induced EMF here. Now only in the previous case, this is the position of A and B conductor. Now if it is revolved by some portion, then there is a induced EMF. Let us assume the total coil was revolved by 30 degrees. This is the position of this induced EMF. Furtherly, if you are seeing some more rotation, further 30 degrees, then again you can see some more amount of induced EMF. And at 90 degrees, now means exactly it is in the horizontal direction. So this is 90 degrees. Again furtherly 120 degrees means it starts rotating in the reverse direction. So cutting of flux linkages will also change. And again at 150 degrees, the position of A and B also, that A initially that was in the top side. Now here from 90 degrees onwards, now it is moving towards the downward direction. So at 180 degrees exactly this is the same, but instead of A conductor, now B came, and in place of B, A came. So means the coil is completely revolved by 180 degrees in the same proportion that induced EMF which is induced in coil A and coil B, or side A and side B, and it was increased and then it is reduced and it come back to the zero direction. And again if it is furtherly if you are examining here, it starts rotating by 30 degrees, then again 240, 270 and 360 degrees. Now at 360 degrees, now initially from where we have started, that where we reached here. But the important thing here, if you could observe that part A and part B, this is nothing but this portion is always connected to a side A, and this bottom one is always connected to the side B. Now this is like this, a solid ring we are going to take. This solid ring I am going to divide into two equal halves. This is the equal halves, and this air gap between them is separated with some mica or paper, which is insulator, solidly insulator, and this may be connected to always to a side B, and this may be connected to the always to a side A. So whenever this A is rotated, the same velocity B also rotates. And here this spot A on this side, one brush is going to place, that may be P or Q, whatever it may be. On the B, we are going to keep one more brush, that is nothing but the Q. So whether it is rotating in any one of the direction, now in the same direction, this spot P, this brush section P and Q is solidly collect the electrical energy that is available at point A and point B. These are nothing but, this division is called as a split rings. So this point is nothing but A and B are nothing but the split rings. So these are going to collect the electrical energy from two brushes. So what about the direction of this electrical energy produced in the armature? So that is, we are going to make use of this Fleming's right hand rule. With the help of this Fleming's right hand rule, we can easily identify the direction of the current as well as what about the direction of that particular voltage. So always you have to keep your right hand thumb in the direction of motion. In which direction that particular coil is moving, in that particular direction you have to keep, or in the direction exactly in which direction your starts rotating that armature conductor, in the direction let us keep our right hand thumb, and the forefinger, it should be in the direction of the magnetic field. So the direction of that magnetic field is very, very important. So in the same direction in which that magnetic field originating and leaving, terminating, in that direction, if you are keeping your forefinger of your right hand, then your middle finger represents the current direction. That is a very, very important thing. Now with the help of this Fleming's right hand rule, we are going to identify the direction of the electrical energy induced in the armature conductors. So coming to the generator reaction, so an EMF, that is nothing but it is none other than voltage, is induced in a conductor if it moves through a magnetic field. Just now also we have observed, and with the help of some animation kind of thing. So motor reaction, a force is induced. So in place of electrical EMF, so motor, it comes to a force. The force is induced in a conductor that has a current going through it and placed in a magnetic field. So whenever a current carrying conductor is placed in a magnetic field, whenever a current carrying conductor is going to place in the magnetic field, now that magnetic, because of the interaction of two different types of magnetic field, the armature conductor or the conductor will experience a force. So that is nothing but the force, it will be induced on the conductor. If the conductor is carrying a current, and again if it is placed in the magnetic field, definitely there will be a force, it will be induced, that is called as a motor reaction. So voltage induced means that is the generator reaction. So there is a commutator kind of thing. The function of commutator is to rectify AC and DC, AC to DC. So otherwise, the very important thing we had to remember that all the, whether it is a DC generator or AC generator, once it is a generator, so across the armature conductors, always the current is nothing but, or the voltage, electrical voltage is nothing but alternating in the nature. But alternating nature voltage for the DC applications means it's not correct. So that's why we are going to rectify the AC to DC, which is nothing but it is a duty of the commutator. Commutator is a part which is going to rectify or convert AC form to the DC, not exactly DC, unidirectional DC is going to develop across the DC generator output terminals. So it is a simplest form, is composed of a slip ring, just now also we have discussed, that is cut in two halves, with each segment is insulated from other as well as from the shaft. Now between the two parts, now there will we are going to keep mica or some paper, so which is nothing but it acts as a solid insulator. So like this, that single circular cylinder, we are going to make it into two halves, which is nothing but it is a slip ring. One segment is connected to the coil end A and another segment is connected to the coil B or coil D. Now in this example, what happens? Now there are two sides. This is nothing but the side A and this is the side D. So side A is always connected to the slip ring section A, and D is nothing but again another part of this slip ring, we are going to connect the D. So with the velocity, this armature is going to rotate with the same velocity, the slip rings also rotates. But on the surfaces of the slip rings, some two solid portions were fixed. The two solid portions are nothing but the brushes. So this is a brush is going to collect the electrical energy from a rotating body and it is communicated to a stationary electrical load. So like this, you see carefully what is commutator and what is the brush. Commutator is nothing but it is a device. It is going to rectify the electrical voltage or electrical energy from AC to unidirectional DC, whereas the brushes are nothing but these are going to communicate or these are going to collect the electrical energy from a rotating part and communicate to the stationary electrical loads. That is the sensitive difference between commutator and the brush. So that's what we can examine here. The voltage between brushes X and Y pulsates but never changes its polarity. The alternating voltage in the coil is rectified by the commutator. So finally, at the brushes, if you could see, or across the loads, after connecting electrical load to the brushes, across the brushes, if you could see, the voltage is nothing but more or less like this. So never it comes to a negative. Only it will be pulsating in the nature, but only unidirectional pulsating nature. So always in the one direction only we can see the electrical voltage. So what is the generator here? So we can call it as a direct current generator or dynamo. Why? Because only either it may be rotated in the clockwise direction. I mean to say 30 degrees or 60 degrees or 90 degrees, whatever it may be. Now according to that only we can see some voltage, but the voltage never goes to the negative direction. So always the direction of the voltage is in only one direction. So that's the nature. Now this is a DC generator. Now this DC generator, it will be completed only along with the slip rings. Suppose in the absence of slip ring, of course it is a DC generator, but it will not provide the DC electrical voltage. It will provide AC electrical voltage. But suppose if it is a DC generator, means the major part is nothing but a commutator. What is this commutator? Commutator is nothing but slip ring. So without this slip ring, so of course even it is a DC generator, but DC generator will give the AC voltage. This is a very, very important point. So a simple AC generator also we can see here. So this is there is a N turns area, that is a coil arrangement. Now if the total coil, if it is revolved in a particular direction, so the typical orientation of the direction is nothing but it can be represented as some theta. Now is this theta, in some of the cases it may be calculated with respect to the horizontal axis. Some of the cases this may be measured with respect to the vertical axis. Whatever it may be, based on the orientation, based on the direction, based on the reference axis, what we are going to take, with respect to that only we are going to measure the theta. So based on this only formulas will be changed, and this B is nothing but this is the direction of the magnetic field here. So here nothing we have connected, only just there are no slip rings and there is no commutator. Now whatever the voltage we can see between the two sides of this. So this may be the voltage here. That voltage is nothing but alternating in the nature. So that's what, either it may be a DC generator or AC generator. Suppose if there is no commutator segment, there is no slip ring segment, then that becomes a AC generator only. So simple arrangement of the AC generator is nothing but same, orientation is same, but in the absence of slip ring or in the absence of commutator, that is nothing but AC generator. So as the coil rotates, a voltage is induced, that is E is equal to BLV. B is nothing but that is a magnetic field. So magnetic field density, L is nothing but the length, and V is nothing but the velocity, because the relative velocity is also very, very important here. Between terminal A and D, we can see some voltage, and this voltage appears between the two brushes, and just now also we have discussed, and between that brushes, how much of voltage is there. Whenever if it is electrical load is connected to that same voltage, it will be transmitted to the electrical load as well. The voltage is generated because the conductors of the coil cut across the flux produced by the north and south poles. As per the Faraday's electromagnetic induction, this will take place. So that is the same principle behind this DC machines. So the induced voltage is therefore reached to maximum when the coil is momentarily in the horizontal position. So whenever the coil is in the horizontal position, so maximum number of cutting takes place. Because of that, now that induced EMF is maximum here. So if the position of the conductor is like this, A and D, if it is kept here, so maximum amount of fluxes will be transmitted through the coil. So maximum amount of flux linkage will take place. So cutting of flux will also happens. So this is the position where we can see maximum voltage here. So number of no flux is cut when the coil is momentarily in the vertical position. Suppose if you could see the orientation of the magnetic poles and the conductor position, if it happens like this, only the magnetic field, so there is no cutting at all. If any possibility is there, there may be a sweeping of the conductor. So that's magnetic flux lines may sweeps the surface, because this portion, this outside portions are nothing but the solidly insulated. So never that magnetic fluxes will penetrate into the surface through these insulating surfaces. So because of that, whenever the conductor is in the vertical position, there may be a chance of sweeping of the conductor. So some of the flux lines may sweeps, but there is no cutting. So because of that, there is no flux cut. So that induced EMF is 0. So that is nothing but the minimum. So therefore, the voltage is that its polarity changes every time the coil makes off a turn. So whenever it makes one turn, one off turn, so the position of that armature conductor or the conducting section will be changes. So every off it will be changed. So now A will comes to D and D will goes to A, like this it happens. So again, if you could see now here the flux, the induced EMF and the induced EMF, you could see now this is nothing but the unidirectional voltage, but so many ripples, so many unwanted frequencies are here. So now if you could see here, the ripples are nothing but this ripple is nothing but this deviation is less comparatively. So what makes the difference here? More loops of wire, higher the rectified voltage. So number of loops goes on increasing, or some way in some of the cases what happens, instead of increasing the number of loops, if the physical space is a constraint, in that cases we can strengthen the magnetic field. If the magnetic field strengthened, automatically the rectified voltage will also changes. So the the quantity of ripples goes on decreasing. So like this, induced EMF depends on so many parameters. But this is the one of the simple comparison here. If only one coil is connected, single coil, or if multiple coils are connected, now definitely there will be change in the rectified voltage. Now if only single coil without changing the magnetic field, now there may be huge amount of ripple. Now but if without changing the magnetic field, if number of coils goes on increasing, then the ripple content it will be reduced. That's what, more loops of wire, higher the rectified voltage. I hope you enjoyed the introduction to these DC machines, especially in the working principle. Thank you for watching this video. Hope you all are following. So for any queries or any doubts kind of thing, you please keep posting the comments. Thank you for watching this video.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.